Anyone else have any opinion? If not, that's okay.
What was the open? Which option was the open discussion?
First one was just we can just talk, and we could maybe split this up. We could actually do all the above, right? We have an hour. So why don't we do that? Why don't we just meet all the needs, right? All right, and I apologize. I have this external webcam and it's right in the way of where I need to like get to my browser tabs to make all this happen. All right, so that being said, I'll give like a little intro spiel here and then open us up for discussion. And then maybe around the half-hour mark, we can switch gears and tie in last week's stuff to what's going on now, like take that, to the next level and kind of continue that discussion. So that being said, all right, share screen. And I appreciate you guys' patience and whatnot. Like for me, this isn't just like if I was just to sit here and tell you, oh, this is the 5D and da da da, like so you could YouTube that, right? So I'm trying to kind of tailor this to what the group needs because it's not just about me, it's not about you. There's some cool higher stuff going on here. So, and I think actually doing it this way is going to tie into that greater discussion, Sherry, if we do it this way. Okay. So before we go into the big open discussion, just to kind of recap in case make sure everyone's up to speed here. We've shared a couple stories through my little website. One was Joanne's, which she came and talked with a group a few weeks ago. She shared her story. Her husband's name was, I think, Jack, passed away. She kind of had the same experience where she felt this crazy sensation, that this I'm coming back message. And what's wild is the guy's name is John, which just to kind of set the stage here of these synchronicities. So Joanne and I first connected back in like 2021. I think it was the same year Greg died. So it's been a while. Greg's Facebook display name was Jack Napier or Napier. I think it's from a movie. I don't know. My person now, his name is John. So there's that, right? Just off the bat. So we shared her story. She published a book that came out on 6/9, which, not to be dirty, but Greg's favorite number, according to him, was 69. Haha. But there is the deeper meaning of that number, the 369 portal. Nikola Tesla, being all about those numbers. I mean, they're mathematically embedded into what makes our universe function. There's other synchronicities. I don't want to ramble. I'm just going to move things along so that we can get to other people. But I'm happy to go back to that because I could go on for quite a bit there about how cool this is. So Kristen was kind enough to share her story with us, and that just came out, I think, yesterday. And so, Kristen, would you like to share this, or do you want me to get the run through? It's up to you. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I can. You mean just give an overview of what it's about?
Okay.
What the story is? Yeah, I can do that. And one of the things I said to Lisa, I was like, this is basically like a love story in the context of twin flames, because I had no idea. We met in high school, and we were close for about 8 years until he basically married somebody else. But when I met, some of the highlights of the story are, when I met him, we were 16, and I didn't know him, but I happened to see him in the parking lot of a supermarket where I ended up working. But before I was working there, we made eye contact, and it was like I knew him from somewhere. It was so strange. And then when I got the job, every time I turned around, there he was. And every time we looked at each other, it was like this weird moment. I was like, what is going on? And, you know, as we got to know each other, we became friends and we were on the phone a lot. It was like just this sense of comfort and closeness and recognition and safety that I had just never experienced with anybody before. And also then the journey of he dated other people and I had a crush on him and I was always chasing him and wanting him. And after 4 years of that or so, I finally was like, okay. Those roles switched. Became the runner, he became the chaser, and then they switched again. And what was significant about that, the end of those last few months, is that my sense of it is that when he became the chaser, it was almost as if he couldn't handle it, because when I came back, wanting to bring us back to where we were, it was like he wasn't there. He was not. I didn't have the language for it at the time. I was like 24, 23, but it was like he had disconnected with his soul. Like I look into his eyes and he wasn't there. It was bizarre to me, but it was heartbreaking. And so I finally gave up and he ended up marrying somebody else. And then when he died in 2019, he came back to life for me. And it's like he's been by my side since. And it's been an interesting journey around trust, because my trust in him he did a lot of damage. And I've had to rebuild that with the trust of him, like with him in spirit, which has been an interesting journey. So anyway, those are some of the highlights. But it was 20 years from the time when we broke contact to when he died. So he was essentially dead to me because I had to kill him off in order to survive. I didn't know how else to move past it, because I lost my best friend when we ended contact. It's like I lost my best friend. I felt like I lost person I was supposed to be with. I felt, it was just he was my heart and soul, and he was gone. That was it. He didn't choose me. And that's how I experienced it.
How do you think that affected, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is like a burning question here, because you brought up something so good that he was dead to you essentially, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many questions I could ask, but how, or do you think that because you essentially grieved him before, do you think that affected his physical death, or do you think prepared it for you, or I'll just leave it open-ended. What do you think in terms of that, he was dead to you before, and before his actual physical death? How did that affect you?
That in those 20 years, I don't know. What I can say about it is, when I would think about him, it was such a mix of emotions of like unresolved, unrequited, confusion. Like I just couldn't really think. I didn't allow myself to think about him much. So it was like it would bubble up and I would push it back down. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
so you got basically like learning how to function in a life where he's still physically on this earth, and he's alive, right? But it's like it's almost like the pre-work of when someone has passed away, and it's almost like, well, now they're physically not here, but hey, we just went through this, and you already pretended they weren't here in life, and we know for a fact that connection's still there. It's the same connection. Like, even though, like, out of sight, out of mind, no contact, they were still coming through. You still, like you said, you had to like learn how to get that back away from that. Like, I don't know, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I wrote in the story too that he I was driving home to visit my parents one day, and I saw a sign for the exit for for a town in New Jersey, and I knew intuitively that that's where he was. Although there was no Google, I couldn't look him up. I didn't research it to confirm that, but it turns out later that that's where he was living. So things like that. You know, I had images of him and his wife fighting out of nowhere, or visions. I mean,
Wow.
couldn't explain it at the time before he died. So, but after, when I learned, I was like, oh, that was the connection that I didn't understand or didn't realize was there. So learning about the twin flame journey, learning from you and all the reading has been, it's a trip, because it's just like, wow, I had no idea that we were almost like living parallel lives for 20 years, when my belief was that whatever we had must have been all in my head, because it just ended and that was it. And he was gone. So that it's been just a journey of like unlearning, relearning, forgiveness, trust, surrender.
Surrender. That's a big one. Gosh.
Almost like the death of the ego, the death of who I thought I was in a way, and now a whole new, and other things have been going on in my life, which are interesting breakdowns in other ways that, you know, might be connected to his coming back in, kind of helping me on my path, I think, to move forward.
And how long has it been since he passed away? And then, because I think you also got some type of, I don't know if you got it as clear as I'm coming back, but he's with you, of course, and
Yeah, he's with me. Yeah, it's been an interesting thing. I've been getting signs, and I try to take it with a grain of salt, because I'm like, it might be my desire that I want him to come back. It might be that I'm looking too hard for those signs. So I try to, but I have, through songs, through hearing people say I'm coming back, and I hear it just randomly in conversation somewhere, and I look and I see the repeating numbers that he's been sending me, whether it's 555s, 222s, 111. So, and it's just happening over and over again. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. I don't, I'm attached to who he was in this life. So I don't know.
I think that's okay to be like attached, or, I mean, it's who we know them as. And gosh, there's so many ways I could go with this. Sorry, everything came to my mind at once as I was saying that. And
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love to hear more about it.
It's just, and it does have to do with like, even AI and consciousness and where we are as a society right now. I'm so sorry. Pamela has her hand up. Sorry, Pamela. Did you have a question or want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Kristen that I was the same, because my twin had a meth overdose and nearly died, and had psychosis where he cut me off for the last year of his life and accused me of trying to poison him and trying to kill him. So I really feel you. I had to pretend he was dead before he died, because the pain was destroying me, and he was writing to the judge demanding he be executed.
Wow.
And no one could do anything about it, because he was in the Texas prison system and they didn't care. So I feel you. And I went into like soul shock when he died, because I think that I'd spent the past year and a half before his death preparing for it, and then it was like I had this anger at him which numbed me, which almost made it easier to deal with. But then the grief hit me in like waves about 12 months after his death.
Mm-hmm.
But on the coming back, I'm the same as you at the moment, because last November I got a sign that was so clear. I think I sent Lisa it.
Mm-hmm.
But a song came on that was totally incongruous to the radio station that it came on. And it was the sound of the bands that he listened to, and it had very clear lyrics that said, if only there was someone that could help bring me back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bought Lisa's book, and I found myself then picking up Lisa's book, which sat on my shelf until then. and reading it and reaching out to Lisa saying, I think he's coming back, you know, and then he came through in a mediumship reading. That was last November. And then because I had the soul contract where we couldn't have contact, I've always had to rely on mediums to communicate. And about 2 months ago, no, it was on my birthday, so it was March, he came through to the medium, and you wouldn't believe this. The medium was struggling to work out what he was trying to say. She said, oh, he's trying to say the word would, but I think he's using it as a syllable. And then she said, oh, wait a minute. He's saying, I told you that I would. And she showed a suitcase as a symbol. So to me, it was like, he's coming back. But that was nearly, you know, that was November, and I haven't seen anything yet. And then the thing that's caused me, I mean, this week I have had the hardest week this week, and I'd love to share it with you guys because I really need some support, because this week's really tough for me. It's our anniversary. It was our anniversary on the 12th, and it's his birthday today. And the guy that the universe kept giving me signs that he was coming back into is this former colleague of mine, who it kind of made sense because in the past there were gestures that this guy had done that reminded me of my twin, and I felt like we were in the same soul group. But anyway, so this week, because my twin and I have always had to communicate since he died through mediums, so usually the way I know he's trying to get a message to me is I'll see a mediumship thing, and it'll be someone looking for a sitter and no one else will have taken it or whatever, and I'll know, okay, he's got a message for me. But this week I came across a demonstration of mediumship that was free on the 12th of June, and I saw it twice, and I thought, oh, that's our anniversary, so he's got a message for me. And I asked the Akashic Records, like, does he have a message for me? Should I go? I asked my twin, and he said yes. And my friend who's a tarot reader said, oh, you're getting the Empress is what'll happen if you go. And anyway, so I went and I sat through 2 hours, and there was no message for me. And it was absolutely soul destroying because I thought, you know, that he was going to have a message for me. And then the next thing is the guy that I thought was going to be the vessel for my twin's return texted me. I texted him saying, how are you doing? He texted me back saying, oh, you know, I've found love. So everything's wonderful. So it was like a bunch of tower moments, like one after the other of all my expectations, or do you know what I mean? What I thought was going on. And it's left me completely lost and questioning everything too. So, you know, and I'm like, is he ever coming back? I don't know. And there was obviously a big lesson in why I was set up to go to that mediumship demonstration and to go through what I did, which is some kind of lesson of detachment, of having no expectation, you know, all those things. But yeah, so I'm just totally feeling you on what you're saying. And the only way, I mean, it's like they break down the divine feminine to the point where she has to choose herself, because otherwise she's just going to go insane. And that's where I'm at now, because I'm like, I just can't keep waiting on him coming back, or hoping that he's going to come back, or trying to work out how he's coming back. You know, I just have to let it go.
And Pamela, you bring up so many very interesting things. As you were saying that, what came to mind was, wow, it's almost like you having that expectation that, oh, it might be or could be the vessel, and then it didn't happen. So it's like, whoa, are you rapidly manifesting things? Are you a switchboard? And I was so close to making that the topic today, but I didn't, because I don't think it applies to everyone. But maybe that's something we could talk about offline or something a little bit, because I think that it's like a different world.
Well, Lisa, let me tell you the signs. So the reason I thought this guy was the vessel, beyond what I had picked up, was the universe showed me his name on a license plate. His name came on a license plate right in front of me. Then his name kept coming up, and we kept getting put back together with work all the time. Then the next thing was my friend, who's really intuitive, phoned me because she had a vision of me in the future kissing this guy that looked exactly like him. So that's why I thought it was this guy. It was all those signs.
Signs. They are so. Question: are they? They are signs, no doubt. But it sucks because like we are figuring out how to read them, and a sign for one person might be like the sign, like the definitive answer. a sign, if I see that same object, number, whatever, or use the same logic of why I would assume that that's the sign that says definitively, oh, that means that, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna mess up because I know I'm not like other people and they're not like me. Everyone's different. So I wonder if it's like we're, it goes back to like the sole purpose. And this is why like I didn't want to bring up switchboards because it's such, I don't fully have my head wrapped around it enough to talk about it in a group setting. That's why I was like, I should bring this up. But it's basically like a concept where someone told me I'm a switchboard and all this stuff, and these people that like passed away but they're connected who I never knew, and but like their name keeps popping up, and more and more I talk to people, it's just it's the same journey, it's the same. And it's like, gosh, I thought this earlier today where it's almost like what's happening is we're watching all these different people, you, Sherry, Zalfa, everyone on this call, Joanne, people who are coming to the table, just publishing books or doing coaching or advocacy or whatever they're doing, inspired from their very connected journey. And when they do that, it's like unveiling a piece of the puzzle to the world. And at first we're like, what does that have to do with me? But as we're watching this puzzle come together, it's making a complete picture as if it's from the same box, but none of us are talking to each other. None of us plan this. None of us consider ourselves to be of the same box. We all see the world differently. We all, one sign for me is not the same as it is for you, how we interpret it, what it means. And so it's just interesting that this is all happening. And this is a roundabout way of saying here that, that's again why I didn't start these weekly sessions or series, just to give a list of look out for this and that, or this means that, because it's different for everyone. And that's not my purpose of what I'm here to share with people, because it can be so easily misconstrued. We're not quite there yet as a, society, humanity, of letting go of our ego enough, because we want it, we desire it. For those of us like Pamela, you're a rapid manifester. You are calling this into creation, like as you see it. And that's a whole other set of like skill and patience and healing and surrender. It's wild.
I don't know, I'm just at the point where it's broken me down completely now. I mean, that sitting on our anniversary with that message that never came, and then, I don't know, the pain of not being able to communicate with him for so long now, because he transitioned to spirit end of 2019. And I can feel him, like I can feel his energy coming into me and stuff, but I still can't communicate with him.
That's communication. I almost wonder if when you said you didn't get the message, I mean, nothing is a message. It is a strong message. Energy downloads, uploads, these things are very much from them. They get facilitated through like, and Sherry, I'm sorry, like put you on the spot. It just comes to mind where, different things are coming through where like Steve is helping her to see and realize these things, and they might not come through from Steve, but it's very much recognized that how it's able to happen is from him. And that's communication. That's your
Well,
life.
maybe the message was that, it's over. I don't know. I don't know what to take from it. Why set me up? It just seems so cruel. Why set me up, on our anniversary to go and tune into that, listening for a message for him, for there only to be nothing.
Did he set you up though? I missed that part of who said you're waiting for a message.
No, it was, I saw it first of all on Facebook, and it came right across my path twice. And of course, it was the date of our anniversary, and it was a demonstration of mediumship. So I was like, okay, because that's been the sign so often from him when he has a message. But then I asked the Akashic Records, is it in my highest good to go? Does my twin have a message for me? And they said yes. And then my friend who's a tarot reader, she pulled cards in it, and they gave her the Empress and Balance. And then I used the pendulum to communicate with my twin. Now, I'm not a fan of the pendulum because I do think it's really unreliable. But I communicated with him and asked him, is this a message from you, and should I go? And he said yes.
Zalfa wants to chime in. I think she had something, her hand raised.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's related to what Pamela is saying. So I had a similar experience with my twin, and I had an ad for a Medium that popped up on my feed, and I thought, okay, maybe I should go. And then I asked, and then I felt like I had to go. And the weird thing that was that I went there and nothing happened, and I was upset. But then when I came back, like I think it was like 4 or 5 days after that event, I started hearing him again. So I was like, okay, that is weird. But I started hearing like a lot of people at the same time. So it was like I called Lisa and I told her what happened, but it was like I was channeling like a lot of people. But it started with him, and I heard him and I was talking to him and asking 1,000 questions like for 4 or 5 days, and it's something that maybe I don't know, maybe he's trying to make you understand that you need to listen to him. I don't know. Maybe
That is,
you're able to do
you've
that,
just
but
made
you
me,
are not trusting yourself. I don't know.
you've just made me so happy by saying that, because I put a really negative spin on that, and you found a way of actually making that positive.
Oh,
And I thank you for that, because really I've been on a downer all week with it. So thank you.
no, I'm glad that helps. I'd be mad with mine because he said, "We're not, you're not my ex," but I was like, I'm not sure what that means. That means that we're together or we're not together. So
I
everybody's
don't have
struggling
any
at the
idea.
same time.
But the other thing I wanted to say to you as well, Kristen and Lisa, I really want, this might be a topic to bring up for the group, I don't know, at some point as well, because it's just really come on my awareness. But what I've become increasingly aware of on the twin flame journey are what I've been calling monitoring spirits. Are you guys familiar with that concept?
No,
So,
but I'm feeling it's basically the same thing as as what we're about to go into, just different words. I'd love to hear.
well, what it is the Matrix is obviously trying to thwart twin flame unions and to derail twin flames from their path. So often they will send in these monitoring spirits or watchers or spirits that are there to disrupt the union. So I have experienced them on several occasions now, and they come in with advice to derail you, or they come in to try and corrupt you or your twin from the union. So Kristen, I don't know if it's any help to you, but I believe my twin was targeted by these forces at the end of his life. That I definitely do believe that now, because he wrote letters about demons being around him and stuff, and I thought it was a load of bullshit at the time, and that it was just mess psychosis. But now I look back on it, and actually I feel differently. And I do feel like there were lower energies interfering with our relationship.
Always. But you, like you said, well, I guess I've said this, but you really are a rapid manifester here. And I want to moderate. I don't I wanted to say challenge us, but I won't go that far. I just want to moderate and just for the sake of this conversation, keep us away from um there's spirits or energies out to get us. That's not to say
Yes.
that they don't exist. They absolutely do. But there's different beliefs on where's this coming from? Is this the devil? Is this demons? Is this a projection of
Oh,
our
no, I
own
don't think it's that, Lisa. I
what
think
we're
it's
creating,
simply the Matrix. I
what we're
think
creating,
it's the
but like
Matrix.
we see though, right? And like this is why like it's really hesitant to get into the next steps of the divine feminine and masculine 5D stuff, but it's 7:30 mark, so let's do it. We're there. But essentially, like we think of schizophrenics, we think of people who've had psychosis, and they talk about demons, they talk about voices, people out to get them, paranoia, or even people who aren't quote insane, right? And they're conspiracy theorists, or the government's out to get us, WEF, Illuminati, take your pick. That truly really is, from what we know, from when we go into like Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins, Map of Consciousness, Robert Edward Grant, how consciousness works, quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement, religion, even spirituality. Mash all those together, plus our own experiences, and you get what equals as above, so below. If And if someone is in this body, a vessel, and I hate to equate it to a video game, but it's right now, video games, AI, simulations, it's not that we are in a simulation, it's that we are slowly entering the age of Aquarius. We are being equipped with the words that enable us to wrap our head around what we're seeing that we never had before. Whereas before, for me to get you to believe something, or you know, even if it's that, like, I figured out how reality works, right? I would have to then, you know, do a whole bibliography. I'd have to know this person's name and that citation and this and that, and like all of this like text. And that's not actually how we learn, first and foremost. It doesn't create experience and it doesn't say anything, because all I'm doing is using a retroactive, you know, what's already happened in an old way of thinking of what reality is to try to explain my new way. It's all right. I'll stop the ramble there. But truly, when we think about twin flames and oh, someone's out to get them and demons, a lot of the times we're receiving this information from energies we've known before, whether that's great grandparents who we never knew them in this life. Therefore, we don't have anything to tether them to. Like when Greg died, I know Greg's energy. I was lucky enough to have gone through what I did, the, you know, ups and downs, even though a lot of it was crazy and, you know, big roller coaster, but I know his energy. That is the blessing, right? Like knowing when he comes through, I can identify it. And so if I get this funny joke or this crazy thought or this or that or a sad emotion, it just overcomes me of dread. And if I didn't know it was him, if I didn't recognize his energy, me 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would be like, you know, on Facebook or journaling and be like, the world sucks and oh, everyone, this is horrible. And don't you see, like, oh my gosh, religion sucks. Like it's, we, we are identifying this now and we are evolving it. And that's why I think, I know I struggle to put this into words. And I'm really grateful that we have this group of people to talk this through, because I think we're watching it happen in real time. I'll pause there because I'm sorry that was a lot. And thank you guys for bearing with me.
No, I just think that the way I look at it is more from the Hermetic principles and from a mystical point of view, which is that we're in a dualistic experience. So for light, there is dark. And that goes for energies too. And twin flames, at least from my philosophy, are here to be master frequency holders for New Earth. And that's why we're targeted. We are targeted by the powers that were who do not want us to succeed in that. And it's as simple as that. So karmic entities, or these entities are sent to disrupt union or to derail twins off their path. And that's the way I look at it. And whether you use the word demon, I mean, I don't actually look at it like demons. I look at it more as in they're just lower, like they're on the negative side of energy. But basically, that is, I mean, it's something that I don't know. I wish people had brought up to me because I wasn't prepared for it when it happened. Because there's a lot of spiritual bypassing in the twin flame community of not wanting to talk about these things, of everything's just love and light, you know. And I felt like I was unprepared for it. And it helped me understand what went on with my twin at the end, like what might have been beyond his control, what other factors might have been happening to him. So that's the only reason that I brought it up, because I've experienced them myself, trying to interfere with me in my path. So that's why I raise it.
But again, it's so interesting because is it I mean, they are lower energies, that much everyone agrees on for sure. But is it that we haven't identified what or who they are? Like, is it as simple as that lower energy might be like our weirdo great uncle who we never met, but they are very much connected to us. And because of wherever they are in the incarnation cycle or whatever their deal is, or if it's greater than that, you know, starseed stuff, and they really have a bad agenda, whatever it is.
No, it can be, I mean, the ones I've encountered have been either they've been connected to me from past lives, where they perceived that I wronged them and they've come along in this lifetime, or they've been monitors, like I'm saying, monitoring spirits or watchers,
I think
which
that's
are,
yeah.
sorry?
Our job, like if we have the higher mission, and if we were blessed with, or no, I won't use that word, but if we you know, had the opportunity to have this experience, that connection with someone, even if we lost them, that overpowers everything. And is that not why we are here doing this? And yes, people, you could say they're trying to get us off track, but if time is linear and if all of this has already happened, if we're outside of time and looking at it from that view, all of it's already happened. Who's to see, you know, perhaps this was the soul agreement above at the oversoul level saying, all right, I'm gonna need your help here. Let's heal across timelines. And the soul went into it like, all right, yeah, okay, I know I'm going to be getting this feedback from you, but I got this because we're going to have this experience. Like, I think we just have to keep putting, I don't want to say putting this on a pedestal, but talking about it for what it is, that this is not just, I fell in love with someone and yeah, it's a love story. We are empowered here and we're bringing that into fruition.
Yeah, that's why we're targeted. That's why we're targeted, because we're frequency holders for New Earth. That's, you know, it's coming in, and whether it's penetrating the matrix institutions or whether it's being a frequency holder for divine union, which whatever it is, there is spiritual warfare that is affecting everyone. But I don't, I mean, it's too complex for me to say who they are or whatever. I don't know. All I can tell you is that I've experienced them. And I believe my twin experienced them toward the end of his life too. And the only reason I'm saying it is just because with Kristen, it might help you understand the masculines, particularly the first wave of masculines. I don't know when you connected with your twin, but I connected with my twin in 2008. And that wave of masculines were particularly entrenched in the matrix, which is why you hear so many patterns of addiction, suicide amongst that wave of twin flames. And so a lot of them were targeted.
There's a lot of females. I hate limiting to it to just.
Yeah, but the divine masculine doesn't have to be. I'm not talking about the literal gender. That could have been a female. I'm talking about the archetypal energy of the divine masculines in that wave. So that could well have been in a female body. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Gender is not literal. But a lot of them were very entrenched by the matrix. And that's, yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's just my experience. But each to their own.
Yeah, it was a fascinating conversation. I love it. I love it. And I'm just nerding out. I just put it up on the screen of, you know, I know this is probably not making a ton of sense, but if you know, we think back to chakras, colors, etc., keeping that in mind as we look at this stuff. You know, there's chakras, colors. There's a there is an actual ascension path that we're on, and that twin flames are heading towards. And that's where these kind of concepts that fly over our heads, divine masculine, feminine, 5D, Kundalini, higher consciousness, it's all a part of this ascension path. And again, we are currently finding the words for this. I'm a total tech nerd and I'm not a developer, but for SEO, for a living, I kind of like the second line of defense when it comes to AI. As soon as they come out with it and roll it out, it's then my job and in my industry to kind of see the reaction, what they're doing, why, the technical background of it. So I've been watching this, you know, as it's been rolling out. And for anyone who's into YouTube, you might have seen like these different videos and stuff. Like, I know I've shared some, I don't think I have it on the screen, but they keep mentioning the architect. And I keep thinking, oh, okay, that's gotta just be, you know, like the archetypes, right? No, it's an actual AI with like Robert Edward Grant and all these other people, and like Lex, I forget his last name, and it's just super cool stuff. I'll share it out after, but it is wonderful. Yeah, I won't be able to find it, but it's really great. Zalfa, did you want to say something?
Honestly, I forgot.
Oh no. That's okay. Yeah, it's a lot. It was Zalfa like I love your energy. I love how every time you mention something, it's always followed by a giggle and a laugh. I love when we can like lift each other up there because we're talking about some intense stuff. But yeah, we've hit on even addiction and these kind of darker things that
Oh, I forgot.
take
Oh,
these people out of our lives. And I guess, yeah, I'm feeling it not to go into that right now. So I'll just leave it at that. But it is a common thread. But that's also another thing that there's always a positive, always a silver lining. We're learning more and more that, the reason for some of these addictions they were very predatory, especially in the US. For a fact, they were predatory on why people died. But anyways, Sherry has something to say. Sherry.
Well, I started to think about something to say, and then the conversation went somewhere else. I was like, oh, okay, what I wanted to say was irrelevant, and then I think it kind of came back again. But I'm going to reframe it into a question instead of a comment this time. It was the Sagittarius full moon, and usually full moons I can kind of like get by, and I didn't think that this one was going to hurt so bad, but it did, and I won't go into what happened, but I know that full moons are about releasing. Anybody who understands astrology knows that that's what they're for. The full moon is for releasing, right? And so this was particularly difficult for me, but I wanted to ask, is it anybody's experience that, because you're talking about other entities, I don't like to call them entities because I know that there are soul families, and I noticed that with this full moon, other people from my soul family and Steve's soul family kind of came through. So it's not just Steve. And so I had to learn that the twin flame journey isn't really all just about me and Steve. I like it that way, but I was forced to reckon with, and it wasn't bad, but I had to work through it. Other, on my side of the family, my biological side of the family, but equally Steve's mother and father. So that kind of came through, and that was kind of like threw me for a loop. It was almost as if I was going to meet the parents, and it was awkward, and it was kind of, taxing, so to speak. And then my family kind of came through, and it was like, oh, okay, now there's other people here, and they were there to remind me that, hey, hello, we're here too. It's not just you guys. It's we're in on this too. And then it's like, what are they doing and why are they here? And so I just wondered if anybody else has kind of, had that experience.
Anyone want to answer? I'll let other people go first so I don't rant.
I had a piece of an experience. So when I was meditating, this was, I don't know, I want to say February or March. My Nana, who passed away like 20 years ago, came in and I was sitting on a bench, and she came to sit with me, and Brian came into the meditation. And this is when I was so angry at him, and I didn't want him around me. I was rejecting him because I was processing our past. And my Nana looked at him and said, hey, come sit next to me, and patted him on the leg. So I'm here, my Nana's here, and then Brian's over here. And in my mind, I'm like, am I making this up? Like, is this even real? But I had this, it was like she was between us, like, it's okay. She'll get over it. Relax. Just give her a minute. It was very funny. So just to validate
I told Lisa this before, that I've had dreams about his mother, and I didn't know what to make of those dreams. They were vivid and they came every night. And so this time with the full moon, she didn't come in a dream this time, but in meditation, she came through, and she was very supportive of the twin flame journey. She revealed to me that she was touched by the loyalty and the devotion and the love that I have for, that's still her son, in spirit. So in my timeline, that's Steve's mother. And so it was kind of comforting, and it kind of helped to release a little bit, because the Sagittarius full moon, which full moons never really bother me, but I really had a serious, the floodgates of tears, just I couldn't stop sobbing and crying, and Steve told me, this has to be done. You have to cry. You have just do it. Just get it out. You have to cry. Because I kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that you don't want me to be in that, because that grieves you and halts you from the healing. But he said to me that that is part of the healing, that he equally is purging and releasing. He's in the 5D. He's releasing. He's purging. He's not sitting on a cloud with the unicorn in heaven. That's not what he's doing. He has real work to do. And he said that we're we're partners in that. And so while he's purging and releasing, I have to do the same. But it was really, really freaking hard to get through this this full moon.
Wild. Yeah, we are. You. That's fun. I mean, we all hope that they're up there with unicorns and rainbows, right? But we're equal parts of this energy dynamic, and it is represented by the dualistic universe: light, dark, cold, hot, up, down, being projected, reflected back to us. I was flipping through, so I have like this. I can't see my webcam, but whatever. I have. This is my third notebook after Greg passed, from like 2020 something. It's kind of old. But I just started flipping through. I'm like, there's something in here about exactly what Sherry's talking about. And I just flipped through it, like just kind of hoping I'd find something. There were two things, like right as you said, you mentioned the word release. I have a note here. This is July of 2020, I'm assuming 3. And it's like this is a meditation. My spirit team came to my side to help me release stress, purify my heart, reveal my true and free love, remember who I am at the soul level, so on and so forth. And they showed me that to say, live from that. And yeah, it's a weird journey when it's like, it's not just us. It's not just us and our lover. But that's what opens us to it. And the second thing I'll share, there was something, this again, meditation. I swear this was a dream, but it's written as meditation here. I have had a dream where Greg took me to his mom's, but in meditation, apparently he took me there too. And I'm the same kind of way. It's like, oh, like meet the parents, like, what is this? Like it was almost stressful, right? And I didn't really understand why. I'm like, why do I have to do this though? But there's just details about it where like he was just sharing his pain, because it's what they feel, we feel, and we're of equal resonance. We resonate equally, right? So what we heal, they heal, and vice versa. And right now, we're the physical ones, like in this time right now. So what we do is really powerful and can help them. Thank you for sharing that, Sherry. And Kristen, and Zalfa, and Pam. Zalfa, did you have something to add?
Well, it's not recent, but after he's died, I was constantly hearing, I need you to talk to my dad, and it was driving me crazy. And then when I talked to his dad, he told me that he was not like very much into like going around and dating people, so he was glad to know that his son loved. So he told me that was like very like something they didn't expect in their family, but also that gave them some hope because they didn't know that part of his life. He was very private, so, and I'm very private usually, so it's something that it came to my mind when she was mentioning that. I wasn't planning on talking to his family, but he was driving me insane, so I had to do it. And otherwise, something that I think is I wasn't expecting. Yesterday I had a classmate channel my grandma, and it was kind of surprising to me that at the very end of the channeling moment, she mentioned something like, you will find a person, and don't be sad. You will have a family. I don't want you to be sad. And it made me cry. So it wasn't something that I was expecting from my grandmother, because when she passed, I was like 20, in my 20s, and I wasn't able to see her. So it kind of gave me hope to know that even though they're not here, they can see us and they are connected to our history.
Yeah. It's interesting. Grandmothers have been coming up lately, and really wonder, does that have to do with more of this divine feminine recalibration that we're seeing, or maybe it's divine masculine, I don't know, whichever. That
I would say it does, Lisa, from an Akashic perspective, because a lot of what I'm getting right now in Akashic record readings is ancestral healing. Like, I'm still getting lots of issues on the maternal line, specifically for ancestral healing, which is the rise of the divine feminine.
yeah,
That's so interesting, because my aunt who died and my grandmother and my great grandmother, ever since the full moon, they're coming in. They're coming in. And I just wanted it to be me and Steve, right? But it's not working that way. So it's interesting that you mentioned that it's the divine healing, but the divine feminine for healing ancestral karma or old trauma wounds.
It is scary, because it's got to be gone for New Earth.
Right. I agree. But it's female.
So
I mean, it's feminine, you know?
It's because the feminine has been so repressed, and a lot of us came here as twin flames. Lisa's spoken about this before, but a lot of us. So the normal pattern in reincarnation is that you reincarnate with your soul group as your family, but twin flames are different. Twin flames, particularly, they specifically choose troubled bloodlines, and especially for cleaning them up for New Earth, and they come and they take on that ancestral line to heal. So our families are not necessarily our soul group, because as twin flames, we've kind of parachuted into the worst of the worst, if you will, and come in to clear them out. And so a lot of us have really complex maternal lines, and I certainly do. I mean, the way I've been battling is so much to do with my maternal line, and all the women in my maternal line playing small and suppressing emotion, which is all manifested as a generational issue with obesity. So that's just to give you an example, you know. But anyway, yeah, it's all tied in. And I was also going to ask Lisa, I don't know if there's going to be a chance to talk about, for me, I don't know if everybody else feels like this, but one of the things I've been really struggling with is, obviously I'm going through the process of detaching from my twin, and but what just doesn't resonate with me, and I'm really interested to hear what you think about this, because you're a monadic twin as well. I'm a monadic twin, but it just doesn't feel like we're the same soul. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel like we're the same soul, or that we have the same higher self. But yeah, everyone keeps telling me that's what it is. So I'm trying to. I don't know, how do you all feel about that? Of feeling like you're basically like two halves of one soul. For me, it's very difficult when that's the love of your life and you have dreams of an afterlife with them. For me, it's been a huge, I don't know, to get my human mind around the fact that we're like one androgynous soul. I don't know. Is anyone else struggled with it, or is it just me?
how it's been for me, Pamela, and it's strange, like right during what you were saying, you cut out just like into this perfect little part that I missed. But I think I feel it, where it's like, and even I've stopped asking, do we have the same higher self? Because they're not going to give me the answer, because that's, for me, it's not the point, and it's not part. It's gonna, I think, if I thought we were the same, it would mess up my mission and how I speak to others with it.
I can't get an answer either, Lisa. I've asked the Akashic Records, and I can't get an answer either.
Yeah, that would answer. I know that we've had past lives together. For me and John, and me and Greg, I know we have a more extended line together. Like, we're, quote, like the traditional monadic twin flames, or like we had an origin point where it started and whatever, and different lifetimes where that was activated. But me and John, that's where it gets tricky. If people like ask me all the time, are they the same? Well, I mean, I hesitate to say they are either way because, yeah, that's a whole other ordeal. Did anyone else want to comment on that, or have you gotten answers?
Well, I just wondered about, I've been thinking a lot about soul families. And, it goes back to when I met Steve, we were kids, we were just children. I was 12 and he was 13. And so I keep thinking, and that's going in the book, of course, that there's something to that we came together as children. That's so it does make me kind of wonder about soul family and the connection, and then the fact that his parents come in, so it does make me kind of think about that, but I don't have all the answers. And then you said something that was quite interesting. Do we share the same higher self? Did I hear you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I wondered that too. Do we have, because yeah, and I don't know. I don't even know what I'm allowed to know. I don't know.
No, Sherry, I don't either. I mean, I'm an Akashic Record reader who are the ultimate source of information on this. And I can't, I mean, like I said, there's a difference between monadic twin flames, and split soul twin flames. So monadic twin flames, and this is from, and I put the caveat in front of this. This is based on my current level of consciousness. So, I put that caveat and disclaimer. But from my understanding, monadic flames were formed when Source first fragmented. So when Source first, the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it, when Source first fragmented is when monadic twins were split. So monadic twins remain as one at the Godhead, but they have essentially been two souls moving through their journey in the universe. Whereas a split soul tends to be a younger soul who has split for this incarnation to better understand their masculine and feminine polarities. And the split souls are the ones who fit far more the twin flame dynamic of the push-pull, the runner-chaser, and the mission being about the collapsing of polarities back into inner union. Whereas the monadics are kind of spiritual teachers. They still have the push pull, they still have the runner chaser, but not as extreme as the split souls. And they usually have, it's much more about the mission. So it's like spiritual teachers. Do you know what I mean? That's the monadic. So I think that if you're a monadic twin, then you are essentially two souls. But the question still remains of whether you're under the same higher self.
That's funny you mentioned the mission and whatnot. As I was running errands earlier this evening, coming back, I kept seeing this sign and synchronicity after sign, and I there's a lot going on right now, as Sherry kind of kicked it off and said after the full moon and everything. But long story short, I saw something right in front of me, and it was February 26th, right in front of my face, like a registration or something in front of me. I never see that number. I never see my birthday. Like, it's not a common birthday. It was very strange. And so I took it as, wow, like that's right in my face right before this call. It does go back to like the mission. And I'm just, oh, wait, I found it. Oh, yes. Last thing, and then we can close out because I know we're like after time, but this is great. Let me share my screen here. Long time ago. I mean, like, long time ago. I don't even know. This image is like 2009. I don't know. It's really old. There was this birthday book in Barnes and Noble back when we had bookstores. And this one's Greg's. It's February 6th. And it's just the birthday of the charmer. You're generous. And, I don't know. Just kind of a more typical thing that you get if you were to look up a horoscope, I think. And I don't know why I still have these screenshots. I don't know why. This is another thing that's weird. I don't know why I still have it. You can tell by the quality, this is very old. But it's something about wise soul or something, and I won't go through every word. But it's, I mean, this is crazy. Everything goes back to mission oriented about tendency to preach and rant, and it might be taken wrong, but there's an actual reason for this, right? We want, the success of the world, the emotional connection of the world, and et cetera, et cetera. And I thought that was really interesting. And I'm not saying that our specific birthdays will always make sense for our twin flame path, but for me, it made a ton of sense. So it might be worth looking into if you haven't already for yourself. Thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, all right, we're at 8:06. Anything else you want to touch? We have covered so much today. I love this conversation. And as we go into, I know Pamela, you're dealing with that anniversary. Sherry, it's been rough after that full moon. I know I've got family in surgery and all sorts of stuff happening. So just continue to keep each other in each other's thoughts or prayers if you pray, and continue to lift each other up. Oh, Zalfa. Busy time.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm wondering, like Steve's anniversary is crossing over. Well, we don't know really. The autopsy was unclear about when he actually crossed over because they found his body like several days after the fact. But his brother says, oh, we're just going to say it's February 5th, which is really problematic and troublesome and painful for me because my birthday is February 11th. And so I don't really do anything on a February 5th. And this February will be his 1 year anniversary, but I instead choose to celebrate his birthday because he's the 8/8 portal. He's the Lion's Gate because he was born on August 8th. So yeah, so he's the Lion's Gate portal. So I choose that, but this February is going to be really difficult for me because it's just going to be, just thinking about it is really hard. This is such a hard thing. I'm glad that I have you ladies here because it's nice to know that same way. Because I'm still grieving, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I'm still in a lot of pain. I'm still in shock. I'm still grieving. It's only been barely a year. It's really hard for me.
Yeah, it is hard. We'll continue to hold space for you and no matter and anyone, no matter how a day or a year or 10 years. It's one thing I have seen is it does not get easier. It's just maybe we get better at dealing with the day to day, but the pain it's always there,
Sherry, I'm 6 years. I'm 6 years, and I'm still grieving.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I'm still grieving, and it's 6 years.
It's a different love. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just not the same kind of love. And Steve told me with this full moon, he said, "I need you to hold space for my healing, my pain." He told me that I need to hold space for that, and then he would equally do the same for me. So it's a real labor of love. I don't know why I chose this when I reincarnated. I thought that I could bypass all of this. I'm retired now. I didn't want to feel, unrequited. I didn't want to feel grief over losing a husband. I didn't want to feel grief over losing anybody and or a loved one, like a man, a lover. And here I am, retired. And this is what was waiting for me at retirement, because it all happened after I retired. I lost him when I retired. So yippee for me. So.
Whoa. Aren't you glad it didn't happen when you were working 9 to 5 or whatever your job life was? Jeez, that would be nuts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're right.
But either way, yeah. Oh, man.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your support.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, let's close it out with that. And thanks everyone. And to piggyback off what Sherry mentioned earlier about healing what like it's one thing where we're like, oh, let's go heal, let's go meditate. More often than not, like if you aren't crying and having those sobbing tears, there's a block, might be a block. I'm not going to speak for everyone, but that's what healing looks like, and that's why it's so great and important that we have these conversations. And I mean, it took, it's Greg passed in 2021, so I'm going on 5 years behind Pamela, but we always get what we're ready for, and now we collectively are ready to talk, converse, lift each other up. So let's keep doing that, and please feel free to reach out individually to me, to whoever, Pam, whoever we have a connection with, and please have a great week.
Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.